All right, we are live and you may begin when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Sean. All right, welcome everybody to our full design review board meeting of August 19th, 2025. I call us to order. We have a quorum of 5 members out of our, I think, current 7 or 8 that we have right now. Um, I don't have any opening remarks. I'm looking for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So
Motion
moved.
to approve.
I have a motion by Emily, a seconded by Brian. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes 5-0. I am staff. Do we have some meeting minutes to approve?
Yes, we have July 15th, August 5th, and August 12th meeting minutes to approve.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve July 15th, August 5th, and August 12th meeting minutes?
So
So
moved.
moved by Mike B. Sorry.
So moved by Mike B, seconded by Emily. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Motion passes 5-0. All right. Now I'm looking for any general member comments. Any comments that are not pertaining to applications tonight. We're a public meeting for resident association, so raise your hand if you have any general comments. I'm not seeing anybody, so I think we can jump right into our agenda. So up first is application F, which is 1650 Valencia Way, which is an appeal. Is the appellant here?
I was not able to identify them. If you are the appellant for this application, please raise your hand or write something in the chat. I have not seen anyone.
All right. I will motion to amend our agenda tonight to move application F to the end. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion.
Aye.
Staff, if you guys could follow up and maybe just see if they can join on. We can't hear an appeal unless they're willing to defend it. So,
You
um,
actually can hear an
oh,
appeal
we
without
can.
the appellant. Yes, you can. And I
Okay.
would advise the DRB to consider that.
Okay. Okay. I don't. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move. Let's. Can we? Is it okay if we moved it to the end so we can go for the ones for people that are here? Okay. All right. Application G is it. Whoa, I have Inlet Cluster Association 1561 Inlet Court is the applicant here.
I believe so. Asking them to unmute. I believe we have a couple applicants.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Bill Dietz, and I am the president of the Inlet Cluster Association.
Great. So you look like you got a deferral because the panel had asked you guys to do a cluster-wide notification. Um, and then I guess, I mean, technically we still have to kind of review everything. So if you want to walk us through kind of what you're doing, and then we can ask you any questions, okay?
Okay, so actually there were two separate issues here. So which one do you want to start with?
Yeah. Uh, I have just a deferral on electric vehicle charging stations, transformers, and electrical outlets.
All right. Okay, so I'll kind of tee it up a little bit with a little bit of background, then I'll turn it over to Andre, who actually has much more of the details with that project. So beginning around 2022, the Inlet Cluster began looking at electric car chargers for the cluster. And over time, this became a very divisive issue because on the one hand, we were looking at some of the residents were looking at a community-based charger solution, while others were preferring a solution that involved just putting car chargers in the carports for the individual users. So then in April of 23, Andre, who is also on this meeting, had put a motion to the board to actually install car chargers in his carport, as well as a couple of other adjacent units. And then ultimately in October of 24, the community had a vote for installing community-based chargers, which was voted down. In the meantime, and to this day, the Inlet Cluster Association Board has supported the members installing car chargers in their carport should they want to do so. They would simply fill out the DRB. They would bring it to our board. We would approve it, sign all the paperwork. They would then send it to the DRB. And this would all be done at their cost. I think that's about it. So Andre, would you like to kind of go through the details?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for having us. And I apologize for taking time on a Tuesday night, taking so much of your time. Bottom line is, I was on the board in 23, 24, 25. So what I can tell you is, initially we started with in 22, we created this EV committee to actually explore the EV chargers. And part of that research, we met with Resident Association, we met with Charge Up Fairfax, and so on and so forth. But in that process, I realized that Resident Association had actually a very simple and straightforward process for EV chargers. And so at the time, exactly like Bill Dietz, the board president, just stated, I made a motion to actually do that, which the board approved. And then there were we had long discussions about these EV chargers, community or individual or group EV chargers. But bottom line, we decided to go with the Resident Association process, especially the part that, and I'm now quoting from the document, properties with carports and garages are encouraged to use such spaces like carports. Wall-mounted installations are recommended. So obviously they are much safer, they are not in your face, and generally speaking, they blend in the nice environment that we have. What happened is when we met with Dominion and Resident Association and Charge Up Fairfax, the discussion clearly became where do we put these community EV chargers? So the place that was deemed as the best place from the Dominion and Charge Up Fairfax perspective was the playground. And Julie can show the map that page 15, I believe. Yeah, so she was on that page earlier. So it happened to be exactly the what's in green there. That's carport number 8 where I'm parked, because the Dominion power line was going right behind that playground. So discussions after discussions, in the end, we decided to put these applications forward for 5 households, 3 of them in carport number 8, 2 of them in the carport to the right, number 7. And the board submitted this application on behalf of the board to DRB. Only the 2 applications from carport number 7 were able to actually do the individual, because at the time they were getting the electricity from their own power panels. In our case, in carport number 8, we had to wait for Dominion to actually install a transformer behind our carport. And that took another 7 months. Thus, what I'm trying to explain is why we applied for these EV chargers in 2023, but only now are actually in front of the DRB with 3 of our applications. In the process, I was the one working with Dominion, and I specifically asked Dominion if we need REST and association approval for the transformer. And the answer was no, we are working on our easement, and we don't deal with REST and association, but if you want to get REST and association, it's your problem. So long story short, we didn't realize that for getting this transformer behind carport number 8, we actually needed to file an application with RA-DRB. So the transformer was eventually installed with the meters behind the carport. The carport is pointing, the back of the carport is facing the woods. So this is not an eyesore. And also, Julie, if you go back to page 14, there was still a group of this EV committee trying to still figure out a community charger with ChargeUp Fairfax. So no, page 14, please. Sorry, page 14, Julie. So as you can see, 2 of the parties that filed complaints or are affected parties, they authored this proposal in 2024. This version is the July version that eventually went in front of the entire community in October, but they were identifying that transformer to be used for the community EV chargers. So in other words, these 2 parties didn't have a problem last year with these transformers, with this transformer. The only time that it became a problem was recently. So it's hard for me to understand why. So that is the situation we are in. I'm the only one who actually installed the charger. My 2 neighbors they have the applications in front of the DRB. They didn't. They are waiting for your permission to do it. So that is pretty much where we are right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the long diatribe.
No, you're good. So staff, we have a couple affected parties. Let's hear from them. Let's give them their time, and then we can come back and ask any questions. So staff, if you want to acknowledge them and let them know of the
Certainly.
time limit.
Absolutely. I am asking them to unmute right now. Paula, I believe you should be receiving a request to unmute.
Yes, which I did.
Great. So you have 3 minutes to state your affected party status, and staff is keeping that time. So feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm actually here speaking for Courtney Christensen, who is not able to attend the meeting tonight. So I have a written statement from her. I filed as an affected party for the dock at the electricity. I did not file as an affected party for this project. So is it all right if I read Courtney's written statement?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So she says, in the case of the electric vehicle charging stations, the changes were made to common property, and they disregard the aesthetics and the structure of the carport. And then the points under that. Changes made to common property should be planned and considered at board meetings and reflected transparently among members who can participate in the process. Secondly, there was no notification of proposal or process to engage in this change. Thirdly, as I outlined in my complaint and affected party form, the meters disfigure the carport and the transformer presents risk. Subpoints under that statement: any boring through into the stucco and underlying cinder blocks weakens the structure and adds costs for the cluster to maintain this carport. Over time, the metals from the meters may cause rusting and will take extra consideration for painting around the meters. Thirdly, as this was done without due process, the board members were not able to consider these points, as well as questions about owner responsibility for maintaining, paying, and other matters that would be covered in an indemnification. Without such indemnification, which is required as detailed in the Reston Association EV guidelines, the board and the cluster is placed at risk. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Staff, do we have any other affected parties on this?
Yes, we do.
We do, though I was unable to identify them. If you're an affected party for this application, please raise your hand or mention so in the chat.
I believe she typed in the chat.
Oh, there we go. I'm asking them to unmute.
Hey, good evening. I'm actually not an affected party. I'm one of the 3 applicants for this one.
Okay.
And I believe that's everyone on the call.
Okay. So let me go around the room, see if anyone has any questions. I mean, I think the big thing to remember here is that we're a design review board. So, you know, the processes of a cluster are not, you know, our responsibility to adjudicate, let's say. We're looking at the aesthetics of the charger, the aesthetics of, even we'll get to the transformer. I have a question on that, but just kind of going from there. So Samantha, you were on the original panel that deferred this. Do you have any further questions?
I do not.
Mike B, do you have any questions?
That's a negative, sir. Thank you.
Brian, did you have any questions?
I guess I have a question about the location of the meters on the back side of the carport, and if I guess was that a requirement that they go on that side? Was it considered for those to go inside the carport? Yeah, perfect. What we're looking at was these guys on the back wall there. Was it considered for those to go inside the carport with the chargers?
Can I answer?
Yes,
please.
All right, Andre.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure it was. Yes. Definitely. However, this is per code. So yeah, I would have preferred to have the meters inside of the carport, but per Fairfax and Dominion, meters have to be on the outside wall and at that height. So there was no way around it. However, if you look, there's multiple pictures there. They are not coming out more than the downspout that's at the end of the carport in a different picture. I took multiple pictures to give you all the angles, including one from above. Yeah, like this one. You see, there's a downspout on the other side of the carport. It's wider than what the conduit is. So there's no danger. They've been there for 2 years already. So almost.
Okay, so thank you. And my second question is, does the cluster have any intention or plans to screen the transformer?
The transformer can be screened. However, is what you don't see to the right, it's really woods. So it doesn't, actually, it's not a sore thumb there. And the only parties that can actually see the transformer are the houses that are there in the left side, which is the 3 households that actually have the EV charging applications tonight. So obviously we are not going to complain about that. And on the transformer, by the way, because there was a comment, there's around 10 transformers around the inlet. So no, they are safe. Dominion wouldn't obviously install anything that's unsafe and there's a risk. So
Any other questions, Brian?
Nope, thank you.
Emily?
My questions are more pertaining to the dock charging. If we,
Yeah, we're going to look at that one separate.
yeah.
And mainly because I don't understand if we're even supposed to be looking at it. So staff, with the dock, the deferral does not mention anything about the power to the dock. Is that still up for approval?
So yes, that is up for approval. The wording for it was like electrical outlets, and that was mainly.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we'll look at the dock one separately, Emily, just because we're kind of on this one, and then we'll go back to the dock.
Yeah.
So my question with this is, and is Tony on from legal?
Tony's not on the call.
Cam, well, maybe you can answer this. I mean, Dominion, if they're in their easement, I can't think of any project where we have had, we can't have any design consideration over their equipment.
You can. Dominion lighting.
Yeah, lighting, but a transformer box, I mean.
Dominion is working in their easement, and Dominion is not the property owner. I did confirm this with council, but just because they're exercising their easement right for whatever reason does not mean or negate the property owner having to follow or go through the design review board process. The unfortunate situation in this case is that it wasn't discovered and reported by Reston Association. It was filed as a complaint, and so Reston Association had to respond.
Yeah, okay. Because it's a unique situation. Because like if you go to like a single family neighborhood, right? The people who have transformers on their property is not by their choice. I mean, it's Dominion puts them where they want to. And so to me, even if I had one on my property, I would not, as a homeowner, I can't make an application for it because it's not up to me.
Yes, but in this particular situation, and you know, Andre and the applicant can speak better to it, this wasn't a requirement for them to have service to their homes. This was a requirement to have an elective modification to their property. So it's a little bit different in that sense.
Okay. I don't have any questions for the applicant. I mean, my comment is, I think, you know, we want to obviously promote electrical vehicle charging, not promote, but we're, you know, we allow it. I think transformers are existent all over Reston. I think ultimately, I think some screening is going to be the best path forward on this one. You know, the meters, I think also we can have those be painted to be matching to the stucco. I mean, those would be
I was planning on doing that.
Say it again, sir.
Sorry, I was actually planning on doing that, on painting them.
Yeah, because I just think things like that, I think it'll start disappearing. And if, you know, this is already a little barren area. I mean, I think if we can introduce some greenery, you know, I don't think it would hurt. And I think mainly the view from the playground, I think is probably the least, the most aesthetically kind of affected from this stuff. So what I would, you know, Emily, what do you think from a understory kind of screening, evergreen, you know, couple bushes there? I mean, what do you suggest as options that we could, like, you know, kind of push them towards?
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 maybe. I mean, it looks like they've already got American hollies on the corners. They might just be volunteers there. But, you know, 4 or 5 smaller hollies might be appropriate, or some leatherleaf viburnum, something I think that would be evergreen that would, you know, maintain that all year round. I don't know how used that pathway is. That's my only hesitancy of suggesting hollies, because obviously they're spiky. But yeah, I would say like saying 4 or 5 evergreen understory shrubs would be an appropriate that should be installed at, let's say, 4 to 4.5 foot tall. That way they provide actual screening to the transformer, with the idea that they'll eventually get tall enough to help screen the electric meters as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the best kind of path forward on this. And then also I would, require the electric meters and conduit to be painted to match the stucco. I'm not worried about the attachment of them. I mean, that's also not our purview anyway. So I think they're attached as minimally as they can be, for the moment. Do I wish that they could have, maybe grouped them together versus having, 3 individual meters maybe. But they did what they did. So I think we can work a way to do this. Now, one thing I would want to make in our motion is this not set a precedent for other neighbors to pursue this method, because I mean, most people, when they put them in their carports, they run the power from their house. It's more expensive, but I would say I mean, Cam, wouldn't you say that's the more predominantly when there's people with carport chargers that the power typically is coming from their house, correct?
Only when the individual unit owner owns their carport.
Oh, that's right, because this is cluster property. These carports are.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll make a motion to approve this part of the application with the following amendment: that the meters and the conduit be painted to match the stucco color, and that there be 5 evergreen 4.5 foot bushes be planted on the playground side, in a staggering pattern.
I would make a slight amendment to that motion, Michael, just that they be 4.5 feet tall when planted.
Oh, when planted, yep.
Yes. But then I will second that motion.
All right, there's a motion and a second.
Is there a timeline associated with it? Because this one was associated with a complaint.
Yeah, I mean, it's August. I mean, I think it's going to be a prime planting season coming up, so I would say it should be done within 90 days. Emily, do you second that timeline?
Yes, I do.
All right. Any further discussion on that motion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? All right. Samantha, did you vote? I didn't hear you.
Yes, I vote aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Motion passes 5-0. All right. So let's move on to the power. Basically, it's the outlets and the meter base and the wood pole for the dock. So who from the cluster, is that going back to Bill or is that Andre again? Who's going to walk us through that one?
It'll be both of us again.
Okay.
So
Steph, if we could go down to that part of the application and kind of get a picture of it.
Okay.
So I guess you guys need some plugs down at the dock, and this is what kind of was the solution.
Right. And so basically, yeah, the board had met, and we also had a special meeting with the rest of the association concerning the power to the dock. And actually, I'll just let Andre take it over. So, long story short, we had moved, the board had moved to install the power at the dock. However, we had wanted it in a different location, closer to the trees, past the paddle boards. However, Dominion can't do that, and so they ended up putting it, in the current location. And so, because of that, it caused some disagreements among the board. We put it on hiatus so we could get it through the DRB process, and get all the rest of the paperwork in order. So,
okay. And now, was there a new transformer as a part of this?
No.
Okay, this came from an existing transformer. Okay.
Correct.
Andre, do you have anything to add?
The only thing to add is, again, there was a misunderstanding of where the meter was going to be installed. However, that was the only place that Dominion would actually put it. That's where this whole brouhaha started. Otherwise, everybody want to have this electricity at the dock to eventually have light there and maybe a security camera or something. Some vandalism took place there a couple of years ago, and we want to prevent that for the future. This was approved not in one meeting, but in two meetings. And one of the meetings was actually the entire neighborhood, or almost everybody. And what was decided was to actually provide the documents from Dominion, which I requested they provide all the documentation, which they did. And you have that as part of the document. And they pretty much show exactly where the work, what is all the details, what kind of pipe, what kind of power, and so on and so forth. And definitely we'll screen that, because obviously we read the Resident Association documents pertaining to this kind of projects. So we understand that that's something that needs to be done. So that's pretty much it. That's where the project stopped last March. And you see, it took a while to actually get it back running, which was really for the board to approve submitting this application to the DRB.
Okay. Staff, can we go back to that affected party that was here for this, so we can hear from her on this?
She's been asked to unmute.
I have unmuted.
Great. So if you could walk us, you have 3 minutes to kind of walk us through your affected party status on this. Great.
Okay, so again, I'll read the document from Courtney Christensen. I also understand that Marika Gate filed as an affected party. She is in a very different time zone at this point in time. So I also have a printed version of hers. If you want me to read that, I can read that as well.
Okay. Do you also have a statement?
I have a very brief statement. Yes, personally, as an affected party.
All right. You can go in any order you want, but just let me know when you're stopping, so then that way we officially can, stop your 3 minutes, and then
okay,
I'll give you another 3 minutes for the next person, etc. So
okay, I will start with the most comprehensive and work my way down. So I'm going to read Christensen's first.
Great.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, she says that this is a violation of Resident Association, DRB, Inlet Cluster, Homeowner Association, its board, and its residents. Last week, it was discovered that funds were expended after the dock project was paused. The funds expended, as well as the signatures to the applications provided without board transparency or process, violate the Virginia Property Owners Association law. And this is being pursued through the Virginia state complaint process. So just that as a preamble. And then she says, regarding the electricity at the dock, the work proceeded without heeding the process required by the Inlet Cluster Association or Resident Association. So the points are, she is saying, my home overlooks the dock, so I am interested in ensuring that this project is in keeping with Resident Association guidelines to maintain the natural beauty of Lake Anne. Secondly, several of my neighbors share these concerns and may have registered as affected parties. Properties overlooking the lake command between a 16 to 20% premium due to the lake view. The location of the post was agreed to over a year ago. The installation was to be placed out of sight so as to adhere to the DRB design principle that utility installations be visually unobtrusive and integrated into the natural environment. When we saw the post going in the wrong location, the work was stopped. Since March 2024, the cluster and the board have been waiting for a proposal. the board asked to review this and the DRB application prior to submission. Neither of these two requests were met. Next, the DRB application in front of you is woefully incomplete and contains inconsistencies. One document states the outlet is 200 amps and the other states 100 amps. The specifics of the location for the socket are not clear. It appears that it will stick up and create a tripping hazard, especially as paddle boat owners access their equipment. This presents a safety risk, as do the cables, which must run across the dock during charging. Also lacking is a plan for how the charging will work. Can owners leave pontoons charging? What are the rules? Unattended, I think she means. What is the plan for payment of electricity? It has been stated that the pontoon owners will pay for the electricity. However, there has been no information about such a plan. Nor is there or has there ever been an inventory of pontoon owners that has been shared with the cluster. Next item.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that is your time. The DRB can allow you to continue if they choose so.
Yeah, I think we got the gist of where, I mean, some of her complaints we can't adjudicate. So, but I think we get her gist. So if you want to go to the other affected party statement.
Okay. The next affected party is Marika Gate. She lives at 1617, and she also has a view of the dock from her house. Okay, she says, "Dear DRB members, as a resident of Inlet Cluster who is directly affected by the installation of the electrical box at Lake Ann Dock, I would like to address a few points. One, the lack of transparency regarding this project. The placement of the electrical box at the dock came as a complete surprise. There was no prior notice that this would take place. The pole and box are visually intrusive, and there was no discussion as to the positioning of the pole or the design of the unit. As a resident whose home overlooks the lake, the box and the pole are detrimental to the view. The main reason for installing electrical outlets at the dock seems to be to facilitate the charging of pontoon boat batteries. The position of the dock in relation to the homes in the cluster does make it somewhat difficult to charge the batteries, necessitating either the use of a long cable run from the home across the footpath and down the hill to the dock, or carrying the heavy batteries up the hill to the pontoon owner's residence for charging. However, the small number of pontoons means that only a few residents will benefit from the outlets. Because of the lack of transparency, the cost of the project is unknown, and therefore there has been no indication how pontoon owners will pay for any electricity used. There have been suggestions that additional lighting at the dock may be added at a later date. More transparency about this project would have allowed for more discussion about other charging methods and other locations for the electrical box, for the electrical outlet box and pole. Excuse me. Then this continues. Plantings to screen the outlet box and pole. It may be possible to screen the pole and box with plantings. Again, there would be a cost to the cluster, and it may be that such plantings would somewhat obscure the view of the lake. If the outlet box and the pole could be better located, then it may not be necessary to invest in landscaping. Thank you for your consideration. Regards, Marika Gates.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And Paula, did you have a statement that you wanted to make for yourself?
Yeah, finally, my 2 cents is, again, sort of it is really that I haven't seen a very comprehensive proposal or a really compelling justification for having electricity at the dock to power the now 3 pontoons that are at the dock that are very excuse me, infrequently used. There were 4 pontoons at the dock, but one of them had been unoperational for at least 2 years and had never, had not moved in that time. So it's really 3 pontoon boats that don't move very often. So I think it would have been, that there's a need to look at what are some alternatives. And again, I'm sorry, I know DRB, this is not your purview, but that's really where I'm coming from, is the justification really for this project. And the meter is definitely not in a great place. So, and the fact that that was just, I understand what Andre is saying, and I don't doubt that Dominion didn't want to go into the woods to run an electrical line, or it's not a woods, but a small stand of trees. However, the meter should not have been put there without that discussion, without passing on that information, and then making that decision as a cluster or as a board rather than a unilateral move. And that's about all I have to say.
All right, thank you. We can go around the room and see if anyone has any questions for the applicants. Samantha, did you have any additional questions on this one?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mike B?
So again, it's not connected, right? So we are not, it's there, it's in place, but no electricity is currently, it's not live.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's my question for now, Michael. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit more robust discussion at the end, but I'm good for now.
Okay. Brian?
No questions.
Emily, I know you had some questions on this one.
Yeah, well, my question is, and one of the reasons that we deferred this is really more for staff and for council, of like how much of this is under our purview, because if it hasn't been approved and voted on by the cluster, should we even be looking at it?
Is that a question for staff?
Yeah.
So that's not really under the DRB's purview. How an application comes to you all, there are many different things that happen before an application comes to you all. Whether or not a cluster board is following their governing documents or not is not an item for the DRB to consider. However, the exception to that would be that the DRB has the authority to cast a wider net of notification when there's concerns that the membership of a cluster or condominium association has not received or is aware that there's a pending project and the details of that pending project have not been shared or believed to be not shared with the membership.
Thank you, Cam. Michael, that answers my question.
Yeah, because it does seem that they sent out an email very recently based on, I think the deferral as of last week on August 12th, that basically gave a link to a link to the project, whether, they're notified by it, and then, to me, that's notification. Whether it's actually been voted on or not, is once again not us, to worry about. One thing I was curious about, though, staff, was with this application, was the neighboring single-family detached house that's right there required to sign the application?
Yes, and they signed.
Okay. So my only comment would be, I think it's a bad location for the pole. I don't see why, if we're running conduit all the way down there underground, why we couldn't put the meter up by the transformer and then just run conduit down to the dock to alleviate the concern. Obviously, then Dominion wouldn't pay for the electrical work to get to the meter. But I just think the location of the meter is not aesthetically, it is a big impact, not only to this cluster, but to the hundreds of people that walk around the lake on a daily basis, who walk right there. I mean, for years I walked this path before I moved. So to me, even screening it is also then going to take away a lot of that view that does exist to the lake from that area. And so I just think it's a bad placement. Whether we can, whether we can find a different way to get power to the dock. I don't have anything against power at the dock if it's just going to be plugs, and putting some plugs on the dock is not a big deal from an aesthetic standpoint, from a design review board standpoint. But I think this meter and this disconnect location is a big deal from where it got placed. And I know Dominion is not easy to work with sometimes, but I think there are ways to potentially have this be less impactful than where it is my initial kind of thought. I mean, Mike B, I know you mentioned that there'd be some further discussion. I mean, do you have any comments?
No, you just nailed it. You nailed it, Michael. I mean, I don't fundamentally, I don't understand why, if we were going through the effort to get this done, why we just plopped it there. There were, like you said, there are ways to have done this. It would have potentially not been a on Dominion cost, right? But there were ways to do this and have it not be, quite frankly, an eyesore in the current location. So
well, they even have like that little entrance to their dock area that has like some higher railing that like almost integrating it into that higher railing area.
Yeah, there you go.
Or something that's within the area. I don't know where the easement is or what it looks like there. But even something like that to me would be a better option than just plopping it in the middle of our only grassy area that we kind of have. Like you can't see it in this picture, but to the right, there's like a railing kind of dock entrance. I don't think we have a good picture of it. I only know it because I've walked around the lake a number of times.
Go down one more image. Actually, then
I don't think it shows it. It's off to the
There's slide
right.
134. Shows it in the background, I think, of on 134.
Yeah.
There you go.
Background,
Yep.
but yes. But somewhere over there, like, and then they can run, conduit from there underneath to get to wherever they want to run the plug or whatever. But, is there a way to integrate it more into some vertical that we already have? That's my, if this application was being reviewed, pre-installation, I don't think we would recommend that this location would be, approvable, kind of just based on the aesthetics of it.
What you were just describing, Michael, is exactly what I would have brought up, is look for some other element, like you said, some other vertical that we have in place that would have, this could have disappeared within, right? Or at least disappeared as part of, right? As opposed to a standalone monopole sticking out in the middle of the grassy area, right?
Yeah. I mean, and even they have like the paddleboard storage, I know Dominion probably didn't want to go through the trees, but even if we went along, where their path is now, and then they turned left and kind of, if you go to picture slide 131 staff, they could even maybe make their way back towards, those paddle boards that we see there in the background and stay out of the trees and kind of turn left, and get closer to kind of, once again, a vertical element. Obviously, we've already lost a tree there, but maybe we can, figure out a different way to get this thing, a little bit more out of the eyesight of obviously the inlet cluster, but also all the members that walk around this property. So I don't think screening is appropriate. I just don't think this location is appropriate. I think it should be restudied for a different location, and whether it's on a vertical surface or it's back at the transformer, and then they somehow maybe use the conduit that Dominion already laid and run their own service entrance cable all the way down. I know that's going to cost them more, but that would be up for the cluster to decide.
I mean, Michael, I'm not an electrical engineer, but the photo that we're looking at right now, there is another sign. I don't know what it's for. It's probably a no trespassing sign that is the bottom left-hand corner. Oh no, the photos that we were just on, staff. You can literally see the
I
bottom
see it.
left-hand corner. There's already another post there that's probably a no trespassing sign. And if we only needed to be, for an outlet to be 18 inches above grade outside, I don't see a reason why you couldn't just mount, a 4-prong outlet if there's only 4 boats that you're needing to charge right there, and then put the disconnect and the charger further away. I don't know whatever that little sign is, but it's inlet cluster property, no trespassing.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the plug should be integrated into the dock better. I don't even think the plugs are even been installed yet, from what I've gathered. This is just that looks like it's a disconnect box and a meter base, and I don't see any plugs actually installed anywhere yet. And I'm assuming they're going to put them closer to where the actual boats are. At least I would hope so. Or else then there's even more
Otherwise,
on that pole that we didn't. You know.
to your point, you can run extension cords all over the place at that point, if that's where the actual circuits are going to be, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, for right now, for the application that's before us, I think it can be deferred, or we can deny it. I don't know, whoever wants to make a motion, on kind of requiring some restudy of the location of the pole. Once again, I'm not saying the dock needs power or not needs power. I personally don't frankly care. I just care about where the, aesthetically where the pole is located. So.
And I would also encourage the cluster to put together kind of a more comprehensive application for, thinking about like, well, what is going to go? They mentioned maybe lights, maybe cameras, things like this. There was also mention in the application about possibly putting a trellis or something around this. I understand if the pole gets moved, maybe that, gets thrown by the wayside or whatever. But I would just hope that we would see all of those elements in a future application.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Do you want to make a motion, Brian, or somebody?
Was this part of an appeal, Michael?
No, this was just a deferral.
Was this a new application?
This was a defer. Yeah,
this was a deferral.
This was deferred from a panel meeting to full board.
And would require a timeline because it was a result of a complaint.
I'll make a motion to deny the application as submitted and require a new application with more information, with the more holistic plan at the dock for power, as well as a moved meter location.
I'll second that.
Was there a timeline associated to that?
Well, if we're, I mean, staff, if it's a complaint, I mean, what
are you requiring?
This is going to take some time to work with Dominion and figure out a better location and dealing with, kind of that aspect of it and working with the cluster. I think this one, if there's no power to that pole, So I think the restudy could be 180 days, but can we put a stipulation that if any current installation needs to be removed within a certain period? Do we not even have that authority? Let's call it.
You can put a conditional time to remove the portion of the project that I would anticipate an appeal being submitted, but you could do that.
I mean, I'm fine with it if they want to leave it there for the time being, but I think ultimately that's the biggest kind of issue. I mean, if there's no cable to it, it's not, it's not really serving anybody, and it's really just taking the pole out of the ground. Because is the applicant still unmuted? Is the conduit in the ground yet, or is it just the pole and the meter base has been set? Is Bill still on or Andre?
They're unmuted. I don't.
Yes, sorry, it took a while to press that button. No, there's no. It's just the pole. This is process with Dominion. The meter box has to be installed, approved by Fairfax County,
right,
and then they actually start the work, the connection.
Right. Okay. So conceivably, you could remove that grounding cable and the grounding pole, and then this whole pole could just be stored somewhere temporarily while kind of you guys restudy this. I think I would put in the motion then to the pole and the existing infrastructure should be uninstalled within 30 days from the letter.
It's just the pole, really, and with the meter box.
Correct. Yeah, anything underground, not that there is anything underground, but if there is something underground, we can't see it, so it's not in our purview.
Yeah,
it would just be the pole in the box would need to be
just
removed.
Concrete. Yeah, just concrete holding the pole.
Yeah, that concrete could theoretically remain, correct? But I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Put that in concrete?
Well, it needs to be to follow the Fairfax County standard. So it needs to be like 2 foot deep, if I'm not mistaken. So because the inspector will check his checklist, so to speak, and give the green light for Dominion to actually bring the power to it. So it's a lengthy process.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like it's in concrete, but it just seems like they would have had to dig a little bit differently if there were to be more disturbed earth around it. But regardless, I think the 30-day timeline for removal of the pole and of the meter box and the disconnect. So that's my motion. I think someone seconded it. Emily did.
Was
Do you
I?
accept,
Yes.
do you
I
accept
do
that
accept the
timeline?
amendments and the timeline. Yes.
All right. Any further discussion on that?
So the timeline was 30 days for removal and then 180 days for resubmission of an
Correct.
application. Thank
Yeah.
you. Got it.
I just think they're going to need the time to work with Dominion and work with the cluster to kind of go through the period of time. And boating season's about to be over anyway, so they can figure it out and have it resubmitted by, February of next year, give or take.
Voting season's never over, Mike.
Well, true. Okay. So motion second, some further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any against? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you guys. All right, so going back to application F, staff, were you able to get a hold of the applicant or the appellant here?
I was unable to reach them by phone, and I've not seen anyone join the call.
Okay. So I guess walk me through where they provided new information or a misapplied guideline. Because that's where I struggle to see the appeal. All I'm basing it on is this highlighted email from them.
That's 100% what you're basing it on. The homeowner never provided any additional information beyond what you see on the screen. There was a communication about him working with the cluster to update the color palette, and he was concerned about painting the trim because other houses have the same or similar trim, but they weren't required to paint. And the last item being a retaining wall that he was concerned about that would prevent him from painting his house. But as a precursor to all of that, I would remind the DRB that this has been an ongoing complaint that was filed probably more than 2 years ago, that started with the homeowner contending that he was willing to paint the house and all he needed was the color palette confirmed, to essentially this, which results in offering up information but not following through on providing substantive information to have the DRB consider an appeal. He received the notification. I believe Patrick called and left him a voicemail about the meeting earlier, maybe a half hour ago. So there is a current complaint that has been in limbo because the homeowner is submitting applications.
Okay. And there's you guys have if we deny this, you have a solid decision to enforce, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Does anyone have any thoughts on this? I'm ready to make a motion. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything before I do.
It seemed like the cluster, I think they put in here, they were not willing to consider this color. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a motion to deny the appeal.
Second.
All right. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Should we put a timeline for the homeowner to come into compliance with cluster standards?
Good question. I mean, if this is that legal, I don't think we can we?
We've already done that. So essentially, it's been paused as he submitted his application. So once the DRB has made a determination on the application's appeal, we will move forward with the timeline that staff has already provided to him.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion, a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any against? Or is anyone not allowed to vote on that?
Mike B
Yes.
abstains.
Mike B abstains. So 4-0-1, motion passes. All right. I think that is on to LaShonda then. What do you got for us?
Just a reminder for everyone to sign their meeting minutes. If you have any pending, I just sent out the ones that were approved tonight. So if you guys can get those to me, is that when you ever?
Is that on me to
I
sign?
have 2 for you, and then I sent
Got
one.
some for me too.
I got some for Mike B too. So please send.
What are those
How about me,
covenants?
LaShonda? Wait a second. Hang on. Any for Brian?
I got some. Brian, so you were at the last DRB meeting, so I think we're good. I'm gonna double check, but I think we're good.
Make sure I wasn't on your delinquent list.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But other than that, that's all I got.
Okay, yeah, I just saw some stuff come through. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
I have just a general question of where we sit with our lighting updates and requirements, but that might be an after the meeting conversation.
No, we can answer it
Okay.
now. It's pretty much gone nowhere since well, I shouldn't say nowhere. The the board provided some commentary that we have collected from the meeting back in June, where several design guidelines have been approved. Essentially, they'd like to have some more specifics in a design guideline. The reason why we haven't brought it back to you all is because you don't have full complement of the DRB. And we felt like we didn't want to start the process and then bring on new DRB members that would delay the project. And in addition to that, right now, the Reston board is focused on getting through the budget development process. And so really there's no time for the agenda to be added to that. So we do have, hopefully at the end of this month, 2 design professionals who are interviewing for the 2 vacant positions that are available. Brian recently submitted his application for his reappointment. Yay, Brian. And so we are moving in the direction that hopefully by the September DRB meeting, we are back at full complement so that we can begin that process. And Emily, to your other point, which you may remember, or you may be wanting to talk about, that task force that you mentioned that you keep, bringing up, we like to kind of bring that back as we get, in our less busy season of covenants, so that we can have full complement and do all of those things together. And I know that Michael actually will be talking about some things that we've talked about in the past couple of months about maybe a quarterly in-person full DRB meeting. So we're just waiting until we have the other DRB members joining us.
Yeah, is Gozda, I believe, is she been appointed, or is that not happening?
So Gazday is being
Gazday.
interviewed on the 28th, and so is someone named Heather.
Okay.
They're both licensed architects. And so hopefully that goes well. And we are steadily working on trying to find a lay person, which generally is pretty easy. It's been a little difficult.
Yeah.
So if you have any friends that want to join the DRB, let us know. It's the design professionals that usually give us a little hiccup, but we've been successful in that. Endeavor.
Okay. Yeah, and I think to speak on Cam, kind of what we were talking about was the quarterly meeting, and I just had my language up and then I put it down, was we were thinking of like one in person per quarter full board meeting. Kind of, we were tentatively starting in October, but it may decide to change depending on, obviously we'd have to vote on it, but it would be also hybrid. I think having a hybrid option for the board members would be to the benefit of us as board members, and then we can have where the public would come in person, correct, Cam? That would be
Right.
the option. We could just have it where the board members are hybrid, and then I don't want to go somewhere and be sitting in person and then have all the applicants apply, come online. Then it's kind of pointless for us all to be in a room. So I think hybrid for the board members, but in person for the public, would be kind of potentially the option that I'm looking at. And the idea behind that is to hopefully have it for bigger applications. Not that we can always steer them towards that, but I think staff could kind of say, hey, if you wait, an extra couple weeks, you could get into an in-person meeting, which would be more beneficial for XYZ. Or we could also at panel level maybe defer to bigger applications to be in person. If we feel that they need to go to kind of the full board and be in person, I think it'd be helpful. And just to build a little camaraderie and see each other's faces, and that would be my hope. So does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, LaShonda. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Bye.
The meeting was like shorter than our panel meetings by like 2.5 hours.
It's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't
So-
believe how
Bye,
fast
guys.
that
All
went.
right. See you guys.
See you.